This is the Sell Your Brand Show with James Bray and Mike Killen, the one-stop shop for creative solopreneurs and startups to get the best practical advice on how to build, how to brand, and how to sell online products and content. Let's get to it. Hey guys, this is James from Brand Snack, and this week we're going to be talking to Miles Beckler, an absolutely outstanding guy with some amazing advice on how to position your Facebook ads, your messaging, your copy, and your audience. Now, this was an interview that Mike done previously, but it was so good that we wanted to feature it on the Sell Your Brand Show as well. Hope you guys enjoy, and I'll catch you after the interview.
Hey guys, Mike here from Sell Your Service, and I am very excited to be with Mr. Miles Beckler. Miles, how are you doing?
I'm awesome, mate. Thanks for having me on.
No, I'm just really glad to have you here. I just want to say this right up the top. Energy levels, all-time high. Like your emails, your videos, the introduction, just smashing it. So very, very happy to have you on. For those who don't know who you are, which is unlikely because this audience, I constantly bang out on about your videos. Tell us a little bit about who you are, who's Miles Beckler, and what is it what you do?
Sure. So I got really frustrated with the corporate world back maybe 10 years ago. Saw my dad get fired after putting in 33 years for the same company. I knew I had to find a new path, a separate path. Started dabbling in internet marketing, making money as an affiliate. I opened and ran an agency for about 4 years doing WordPress design, development, SEO, marketing. And then my wife and I really clicked on a niche media business around spirituality, meditations, and angels. And we went full force with that. And that's really what kind of produces our income. And then I started teaching everything we do to make that income happen through YouTube for free. I'm trying to really push that free line, and I just give away everything I know about Facebook ads, funnels, and everything for free. So I'm still doing the meditation business with my wife. That's our kind of key core business. And then my side gig is teaching everything I know and trying to pull the rug out from under the fake gurus.
Yeah. And that's okay. So that's the first most important topic. We came across your videos when we were essentially looking to scale our Facebook ads. That's actually how we found you. And we found it really difficult to find any kind of information about scaling that out. So when it comes to funnels in general, your breakdowns are, I mean, you go into everything. There's nothing that you haven't or won't cover in your videos, which to me is outstanding for a start. Yeah. But it's interesting when you go back and watch other videos of other people and internet marketers, how little they show. Yeah. You know?
And then it's a pitch. It's usually just a little, like, it's a great headline. It's a great intro. That dubstep intro has got you like, boom, boom, oh, this is good. Yeah. 43 seconds in, they're trying to sell you a $497 course. And that's my whole goal here is to change the game. Yep. And if I raise that bar to the next level, like what we're talking about there is no longer acceptable. Mm-hmm. And people are going to click back. They're going to click off. The statistics that trigger the YouTube algorithm are going to fall off. And those people, they're just going to disappear. And that's my ultimate goal. And if that means I have to give everything away for free, I'm happy to be that person. There's also a lot of people who, I see it a lot, they'll watch 3 of my videos and be like, oh, I get this. And then they'll start teaching it. And they're like internet marketers teaching internet marketing to internet marketers, but they've never done any internet marketing other than watching my internet marketing videos. And it's like, woo, a little inception there. So I'm really trying to break that mold, and I'm an open book. Here's what's working for us. And I'm going to maintain that approach because it's fun, it's fulfilling, and that's most important to me.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the model of our entire coaching model is I basically open up my business. We have an agency. We build funnels for a bunch of different types of businesses, and I'll even be like, look, we really messed this one up. This one didn't go well. Here's why. I know it went why, and move through. So yeah, on that side, for those who don't we'll do some links and stuff. Go ahead and check those videos out. What I actually really want to talk to you about today is building funnels for customers.
Perfect.
And in particular, obviously there's a huge relationship between if you build a funnel for a customer and it doesn't get the results that they want, you end up looking like the bad guy. And the first thing that a lot of people jump straight away to is let's drive some more cold traffic there. And I believe personally, I would actually rather close up that sales loop, even looking at some of the offline tactics, like what do your phone calls look like and stuff. Yeah. Let's open that up. Let's say we've built a funnel for a customer because obviously you've got some agency experience. And I think your thing was like, I ran an ad and got $0 in sales. Help me fix my ad.
Yeah.
Where do we start from there, you know?
Well, the realization that it's probably not your ad, it's probably the copy and or the funnel or maybe the audience. So I think the first place you start is even before you get that client gig and you start that work is setting their expectations and letting them know that finding that one funnel that really changes the game for them is ultimately a long process of iteration and testing. And that every funnel you put out might not crush it. We hope it does, but we're going to learn something and then we're going to iterate and then we're going to learn something and we're going to iterate. And when we do that long enough, we will find those keywords, those key things, those key physiological, psychological, human psychological motivations that motivate your audience to take action. Once you've found that, their business will be changed for the rest of their life. I mean, that is literally like $1 million aha for that business. Is it worth 2, 3, 6, 8, 12 months of testing and tweaking for them to get to that moment? Of course, 100%, like no doubt. So that's the first part, is setting their expectations and then coming up with what's the main goal, right? So like e-commerce is different than what I do in the information product marketing. You mentioned my emails. I bring the energy in emails. To me, email marketing is the key, right? Because most people are not going to buy your OTO. Most people are not going to take the action you want them to take. So following up, building and nurturing the relationship is absolutely the key. So making sure they have a mechanism in place, or possibly even better, take over that mechanism, sell them that service too, because they're going to be rubbish at email marketing. There's just no way. They're going to like try to make these templates and HTML and our banner will be up top. They'll never hit the primary inbox. They'll go to the spam, but like they're never even going to get seen. And you come as a real person, put a voice to the brand and really help build that brand story for them. At that point, you're able to kind of move forward testing, run things, and just a lot of split testing on the headlines. 90% of it is, it's one of two things. It's your offer or your headline.
Yep.
Right. You either have the right offer or you have the right or the wrong offer or the wrong headline, or both, unfortunately. And once you find those, everything gets easy. So you're just digging around. It's like the gold mining analogy, right? You go out with a little gold pan and a shovel, and you've got 32 miles of river to cover, and you do a little test pan here, you do a little test pan there. When you find some gold flakes, you keep digging there. You don't go somewhere else, right? So when you find something that works and your conversion went from 12% to 20%, you're like, whoa. That was almost 100% increase. Something I did in that test triggered them. Then you have to get to why. And you have to dig into psychological aspects of the user, and you really got to get into their mind. Where are they? Who are they? Why did that work? Why did that not work? Come up with new hypotheses, always testing new hypotheses.
Yeah. And okay, so there's something there immediately. It's really interesting. And I think it kind of leans into a bigger question. A lot of our guys say, yeah, but our customers don't have the budget to continually test things. To me, that means you're working with the wrong customer. That's personally what that means to me, because as you said, if you were to instantly land on gold every single time, you shouldn't be building funnels for customers anyway. You wouldn't
be doing client work. You'd be filling up a mint. You would literally be printing money. But you don't have that skill. No one has that magic, and the process is real. So you got to deal with the process. But you're right. Like there is a process involved, and you have to go through the process. So the other option, if they can't pay for traffic, well, do they already get a ton of traffic? So my wife and I, we spent 3 years doing an insane amount of content marketing to build up 30, 60, 100,000 visits a month. So all our split testing was done on that traffic. But most people can't wait 3 years to get traffic. They need to pay. So you have two choices: energy and time, or throw some money at it. And little bits of money for the testing while you're building up that content marketing volume of traffic. To me, that's the best approach. But the Miles Beckler brand, I'm doing no paid anything. I'm running 20,000 visits a month to my website. I'm doing all my split tests off of organic traffic of people who know me, because I'm just kind of cheap. Like, I don't know. I don't like spending money on things that aren't proven.
Yeah. And this again was kind of like lent into another side on the traffic side. And I'm a massive, massive proponent of the law of compounding, and how, do you know what? For the first 6 months, you get 100 visits a month. And then your last month is your best month. And your last month is your best month. And you keep getting 90% of your results in that previous month. And that stacks up really quickly. We've seen a dramatic increase over the last even 6 months in our traffic. And frankly, it's not even a huge volume of content. I think for a time I was doing one blog post a day, and I was like, for every day for a year, I'm going to do one blog post a day. And that like helped tremendously.
Totally.
But also consistently posting. Like, so many people will be like, oh, I'm going to write one and then nothing, and then 3 in 1 week, and then nothing, and then 1 in 1 month. Being consistent to me is proven to get, results more than kind of just trying to be like, right, I'm going to dump 50 blog posts and then drive a bunch of traffic.
Well, and like, I think it's important to maybe tap on why for the audience listening, because it's true. And I've seen it over and over again. And you got to remember that when you're publishing content, you're becoming a partner of the platform. So for you with the written word, you're probably on WordPress, I'm guessing, your partner is Google. And what does Google actually want? A very consistent growth of quality content so it can feed more ads to searchers. If you're doing YouTube, like my approach, YouTube wants very consistent because they want to show more ads. They want my audience coming back 3-5 times a week, just like a regular network television show. They don't play all the shows on one day. They spread them out, one show a week, every week for the 13-week season or whatever it is. And we need to take that approach. And it really actually, like, scientifically does trigger the algorithm when you find that. I call it the marathon runner's pace. Yeah, I like to do a big push up front. If you really actually did a blog post a day for 365 days, that's absolutely epic. Good on you. But then you get in that marathon runner's pace. I'm at 3 videos a week right now. I did 120 videos, 120 days. And like, the results I'm getting now for 3 videos a week compared to what I was getting month 4 of a video day every day for 4 months is insane. I mean, it's literally like 50x the results because I stuck with it for 20 months.
Yes. And that's the thing. I'm now like noticing that one blog post has more traffic than I could have ever wanted from the one blog post, but it's because it's got those 250, 300, 350 blog posts previous to it backing it up, right?
Right. And the funny thing is, did you realize that blog post was going to be a hit when you wrote it?
Definitely not.
Right. In my videos too, I got some that was just, it was another day. I just popped it out and I looked back and 200,000 views on it. Like, really? That one got so many views? And that's the other side. You don't know what's going to be a hit with your audience. So you just got to keep going and let the audience really kind of decide what works in the algorithms. Yeah.
It's also kind of, it helped us firm up our niche as well. At first, a lot of our content was pretty broad. And the more I talked about certain things, particularly selling marketing funnels, the sales process of marketing funnels, and we'll come back to one of your points later about selling CRM systems and autoresponders. I noticed the more I talked about that, the more traffic I got, but I also enjoyed it. It made it easier to create content. So actually just by having that content and sharing more, it actually helped me focus down my market,
Totally. Get your voice, get everything focuses in. I mean, that's how I got so into the Facebook ads. I saw the results pop up. I did my first Facebook video like 5 months in, 4 months in. I didn't even think about it. I was like, I'll put one of those out, and it exploded. I was like, I have to do everything on that. And I did. And that is by far the biggest segment of my traffic at this point.
Yeah, I love your point. Content makes you a partner to the platform. Again, it's about framing that mindset of why is content so important. And you're right. You're partnering with them. They're providing you traffic. You're providing them with content to which to serve ads,
Right.
Outstanding. So previously we just mentioned there as well that your customers' email follow-up, I agree, is a big one to us. It's actually the first thing that we implement in a lot of our projects. We don't really focus very heavily on building the sales pages and the checkout pages yet. I want to look at their email follow-up process. How are they following up with leads, prospects, and customers now? Because I want to automate that. We can do that for our customers, right? We can help them with that.
Absolutely. And then it can go really advanced too. You can get into segmenting. If they click on this, right? If they have 3 separate product offerings, you can do a quiz funnel up front, or you can just get them onto one kind of list. And then if they take action and they click on sales funnels, then they go down a special autoresponder for that. If they click on Facebook ads, they go down a special autoresponder for that. So it becomes a choose your own adventure for their users. That kind of meeting their users where they are and helping their users take that next step, and that next step leads them to want to buy. Right. But most people aren't ready to buy. We need a little education. We need a little information before we buy. So helping make sure those little steps are in place in an automated fashion will increase the likelihood of getting an ROI from the traffic and the funnel. And that's what you want to do. You want to set yourself up with the best chance of success. Then you run some traffic and you measure everything. And you're like, all right, what happened? Did that work? I don't know. Maybe. Okay. What did we learn from this? And you really got to get down to that. What did we learn? Why are they not opening that email? I thought that email was going to crush it. Why are they not opening that email? Well, the subject line misses that true psychological need. We're speaking to the, like you'll find those things when you take the time to really lay it out, measure everything, and then dig through the data.
Yeah. And that's another really good point. So often when guys come to us and they say, look, I'm really struggling with this sales page, or I'm really struggling with this lead magnet opt-in. Should I change the lead magnet? Should I change the product? I'm like, it's probably neither of those things. Like, how would they know the quality of the thing that they haven't consumed yet? It's almost certainly the offer. You haven't made it attractive enough. If you look at products like, not to call anyone out, McDonald's, it's not a brilliant product, and yet they sell a lot because their messaging is on point and they know exactly what they're getting every single time.
Right.
So it's, again, like you said, it's not always the product or the funnel, or even the ad. It's usually the message and the copy, right?
I would say it's rarely the product in the funnel. It's usually the messaging. I mean, copywriting, I am definitely a student of copywriting, and I recommend everyone does. Eugene Schwartz. I read all the old books, because the old books, I'm talking from the 1930s, 40s, up to the 60s and 70s, pre-internet stuff, because it's all about the human psychology. And they had to pay to mail stuff. Like, I don't have to pay much to send an email to my list, right? Like, so they were a little bit more careful with what they put out. They measured more. They had to track everything because there was a lot more investment. So I like to study what they were thinking and why they worked. Victor Schwab, How to Write a Great Good Advertisement, I think it was written in 1944. A brilliant book. And these books have really opened my mind. So my wife and I, for example, we found one word on our opt-in page, and I changed that one word, and it almost doubled our conversions.
Wow.
One word, and it was the word invoke. I'll share it. Invoke, right? So like before, we didn't use the word invoke, and then when we put the word invoke in there, it was because it's spirituality and stuff. So that word was it's a powerful word. I had no idea. But when I ran the test and I saw the data, and I had literally changed that one word, it was like, holy smokes. So then what do? I put that word in all my sales messaging. I put that word in everywhere, right? I almost bought the domain name. Invoke is our new domain name, right? Like, you just go all in when you find those things, but it is just this kind of like treasure hunt of those little things that actually trigger action.
Yeah, and again, this is so important to go back to with your customers. They'll be really keen, and I'll be interested to hear your take on this. If something's not converting, let's say an email's not converting, a sales page isn't converting, the customer is going to be really keen to look at, well, let's drive more traffic.
Yeah.
And I want to say, let's look at how people are converting with what we're getting now. Because all that's going to happen is we're going to 2x or 5x or 10x what we're getting now. And if we don't want what we're getting now, why would we want more of it?
Yeah, I use the analogy of, so like Facebook ads, and it's often to Facebook ads, but this is a broader perspective. You need to have a fire. If you're going to put, like, Facebook ads are petrol or gasoline, whatever side of the pond you're on. And if you have a little fire going and you pour petrol on it, it's going to engulf in a gigantic ball of flames, right? If you don't have a fire going and you have a pile of sticks on the ground and you pour petrol on it, nothing's going to happen. It's just going to be a smelly pile of sticks, right? So the spark in the fire is the conversion mechanism. You have to have a conversion mechanism first before you're able to pour fuel on that fire, which is the scaling. Everybody wants the fuel on the fire moment, but they forget you got to get the fire going. And sometimes you got to sit there and rub sticks together for a very long time to get that spark, to get that fire going. But once it's going, you can buy all the traffic in the world. Like, the traffic guys want you to think that traffic's the solution because they're selling you traffic products, right? Like, the solution is figuring out an offer that converts, because once you have an offer that converts, you can buy all the traffic in the world. Billions of clicks could be purchased. You'll never be able to buy all of the traffic. So really find that core thing that works. And if you're building a list, you can test other offers later in the process. You can run retargeting. And really, I think for agencies, what I do when I was working with clients, I would go in and I'd assess, what do they have? Like, what's their customer list? What can we sell more to their past customers?
This is
and
so
that's like, go find some easy low-hanging fruit to show that you can generate ROI quickly. It's easier to sell to a past customer than it is to go get cold traffic. So go find their customer list, upload that thing to Facebook, run an ad selling their coaching product, their high-ticket products, bring in some money right away, and then work your way back to the most difficult segment, which is cold traffic.
So for those who sort of weren't paying attention there, Miles has basically outlined your entire strategy that you should be following with your customers. It's what we do. It's dirt simple, like crazy simple. It can happen in a space of days if you really
look like a magician.
And this is the thing, when they start going, when they begin to understand that, I can actually begin to just show ads to my current customers, they're like, why is this not publicly available technology? What planet have you come from? I'm like, oh, it's actually it's free. This is all available on Facebook.
Yeah. Well, don't tell them everything, right? No, right. And I like to call that funnel stacking. Eventually we get to the point, and that's what my wife and I have at this point. We've got our funnels stacked. So I have a cold traffic funnel that I've developed over years, but ultimately that just is, the goal is to be break even. My goal is to run everybody through our warm traffic, our membership funnel, which is our biggest back end. It's the highest long-term value. It's the highest lifetime value for us. But I can't really get cold traffic to go cash flow positive. So I built this whole other kind of indoctrination funnel that can be break even. That grows my list, 1,000 people a day type thing. And then once they get to know, like, and trust us, they go into the second funnel, which that's where we make all of our money, which is on the back end. And that's one of the big tricks you got to help people understand is rookies focus on the front end of the funnel, pros focus on the back end. And the money's in the back end. The front end is just to grow your list for free. Essentially, you put in $100, you get out 100 in sales, but you've got a byproduct of 200 new leads. Aha. That's actually the magic position if you have a solid back end in place, and that's what you get to test when you market to their customers first.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that because I think a lot of the guys who sell traffic or traffic courses or whatever, I'm not ragging on them. They're very, very useful. It's a very important part of the process, but that is not going to scale a business that's already got holes in the funnel later down the process. You're just throwing money away. One of the big things that when something genuinely became set and forget to an extent was the remarketing to our splinter products. And it basically allowed people to go back, and people who we had exposed these small $19 products to, $47 products to, the conversion rate on those meant that everyone who bought was essentially paying for the traffic of the previous customers. And I was like, well, this is the bit that we've been looking for. This really works. And it works with our customers now. But so often I see guys going, no, let's go straight to the cold traffic and try and drive cold traffic to those sales pages. I was like, why? They've demonstrated some kind of interest. Just because they haven't said yes doesn't mean they've said no,
Right. And most people aren't going to take you up on that action. So follow up, educating, building the relationship, make another offer. Educate, build the relationship further, make another offer. Maybe they don't want that first thing you promoted. Maybe you need to try something else. And then you can help people get into affiliate. There's always partner products. There's everyone in our world wants to buy stuff. We all need to buy stuff. We all have problems. We want to solve our problems. And you have to really just wiggle yourself in the middle for their company and figure out how that company solves the biggest problem, what their problems are, where that audience is. And when your process, which is the opt-in, the follow-up to the sale, solves the problem for that person, they're going to buy because they want the result. They actually want to buy from you. You just got to get the wording and all of the pieces and the steps dialed in a way that makes sense for the user to where it becomes a no-brainer.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's quite intimidating to a lot of like our guys and agencies is we talk about testing a lot, and we have a process for testing, how we do it, but it's not about, I think a lot of people overcomplicate testing. They think I'm going to need to test all these different elements, all this different stuff. Where would you start, like, with that kind of whole process of optimizing? Where do you start that you think, do you know what, I can test this reliably, measure it, and I can actually make a difference if I see a result?
Yep. So for my wife and I, when I first got into testing, and I went through a little coaching program that's no longer around, and it was essentially like build a funnel, run traffic, then you can grow your list for free. And I was like, all right, I'm all in on this idea. And that was, through that process, was one of the biggest level ups in our business. We went to the multi six-figure a year. Like life changed for the better when we really figured this out. So the rewards of getting this right are massive. And for us, we had the organic traffic, which I mentioned before. So I didn't have to think about that. All we tested was the headline on our opt-in. What is the thing they want to, that's compelling enough for them to give me their email address? That's all I tested, one at a time, slow and steady, 1,000 people through. What happened? 1,000 people through. What happened, right? You need statistical significance. In the beginning, I was turning off my tests way too early, and I was shooting myself in the foot by after 100 clicks, be like, wow, this one's really crushing it. And then I went all in on that as the control, and then the numbers fell off because you need statistical significance. You need 1,000 people looking at something to really get a decent sample size. So that's all we tested was the opt-in, and that changed my life. Now, the caveat of that was that we had our traffic already because of our past efforts. So you can actually test the landing page headline and the copy on the ad, because they need to match, right? Like if your advertisement says, get a free purple widget, your landing page needs to say, get a free purple widget, right? There needs to be some very strong connection. So you can run kind of a test on the ad level to test the same thing, which is ultimately the headline, which the headline is a representation of the offer. So you're just slow, and it's one thing at a time to test. And I like the $5 a day of ad process, because I like running my ads for a full test. I love doing 2 weeks. I like 2 Saturdays. I like 2 Mondays. I like little bits of traffic over long periods of time, because what if I ran it for 4 days and one of those days happened to be like an election day?
Yeah.
It's going to mess with your numbers. It's going to be all over the place. So if you have 2 Thursdays, 2 Fridays, you do a 2-week run, and you aim to get 2,000 or 1,000 people through that test in a 2-week run, you're not going to spend a ton. You're going to get a lot of data, and it's going to be very level data that you can, it's going to be data you can like rely on, which is key. Some businesses don't have the patience for that, and they got a $10,000 budget and whatever, but that's how I prefer to go about it.
Yeah. And this is, again, we kind of get into that concept of ROI. And it's Abraham Lincoln. He was like, if you give me 8 hours to cut down a tree, I'll spend the first 6 sharpening the axe.
Sharpen that axe. Yep, absolutely.
And that to me is where because this is where like cheap traffic, for lack of a better term, comes in, because I think they make great smoke tests. I think they make fantastic smoke tests. I can actually put something out there and I can get a bunch of people. Like, we've run ads and I'm like, this one's going to crush it. People are desperate about this one. And it's had nothing.
Yeah.
And yet other stuff that I'm like, why are they interested in that? But I'm like, fair enough. That's what they want. And we'll take that headline, replicate it across everything, the entire program, the product, the landing page, the emails. And that almost becomes like kind of this core kind of piece of string throughout the whole thing. And again, we would have never known about it had I not just gone, do you know what? I want to spend even a couple of $100, like, so depending on where you're getting your traffic from, just to understand, all right, what is it that people are actually clicking on? What are they? Because it's like they vote with their clicks kind of thing, you know?
Absolutely. And it's humbling when I've done the same thing, like, oh man, this one's the one, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, what? Like, that's not working. Why is that not working? Here's the trick. Who effing cares? Move on. The market has spoken, because this thing, the loud voice between my 2 ears, thinks it knows everything, and the data has proven time and time again that it doesn't. So the quicker you can get your ego out of it and just let the data guide you. Have you heard of the book Tim Ferriss, The 4-Hour Workweek?
Yes, yeah, of course, yeah.
So he split test the title of the book with paid ads, and it was How to Sell Drugs for Fun and Profit was his working title. And all he did was run Google pay-per-click ads with the book title and the same description, changing the title only. There was no landing page. There was nothing there. He just measured who clicked more. He chose the title of the book based on which got more clicks, and it became an absolute bestseller. So it's that approach. Like, even every click is a vote, like you said, and that's what you have to pay attention to.
Yeah, and I think this is because when we start talking about cold traffic, because the reality is, of course, some customers are at the stage where they need help with their cold traffic. They're ignorant where to get it from. They don't know where to get it from. Having those initial tests to be able to say, okay, well, first of all, we need to understand, because where they're coming from, in my opinion, is less important than the audience and the message. So when people go, oh, we should only work on LinkedIn, or we should only do on Facebook, that to me is slightly less important. I'd rather know, well, actually, we've got this audience segment worked out, and this is going to be the message. And spending, a couple of $1,000s to understand, or more, 10,000, 100,000, some of our customers, to understand this is the message that resonates. If they begin to understand that process where, well, if we're making sales on the back end and the conversions work out, that 10 grand has paid for itself over and over and over and over and over, and it is an investment. You have to position it as an investment,
Right. And what you're investing in, and what they're investing in the early days, is the data, is the understanding what psychologically triggers people to take action. Like that, once you know that is an asset, right? And you're also building another asset, which is the email list. That's a long-term asset that will grow the business. So you got to help them understand that these are long-term assets, and you're going to see the money going out at first, and they're going to grow these 2 assets in a major way. Once you dial all the pieces of that puzzle, that moving puzzle together, then the cash flow comes out almost instantaneously, right? Like, I put in $1,000 and I'm getting out $1,000 within about 48 hours of finishing that $1,000 ad spend. I get maybe 1,050, right? I'm not getting a lot back on the front end, but I just got 2,000 new leads that are going to proven follow-up sequence that generates $150 per customer lifetime value on average. So once you know those numbers, you get math on your side. Once the math says this comes in, this is what comes out the other side, ta-da, you just pour more in and just keep making sure your KPIs are dialed.
Yeah, and that's, I'm going to even put a link to your video on the maths of Facebook advertising. I think it's just the maths of advertising in general. Yeah. That to me was something that every other internet marketing guru has ignored. And the reason why they ignore it is because I think they don't fully understand it. We have also got a video going through the maths, and I prove to people, like, look, every single lead I generate is at profit. I'm going to show you the maths of it.
Right.
And that same maths should apply to all of your customers' businesses. If the math doesn't work out, like nothing in the world can make it profitable.
Right.
You know,
nothing in the world. Like more traffic won't do it. Like literally, if the math doesn't work, it doesn't work. And oftentimes you'll ask your potential clients, do you know what your lifetime value of a customer is?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
You know what the average value of a lead is? No, like I know how much per each subscriber on my list is worth on average per month. It's not $1 per subscriber. My niche might be different, but that's kind of an old internet marketing number. But I know what that number is for me. I know on Facebook, if I'm getting leads for under 75 cents each, I don't even care if I'm making sales. I don't care if I'm cash flow positive. I'm going to earn that back for sure, undoubtedly within 45 days. And I'm in a position that I can let my money sit out there for 45 days and be patient because I'm just investing in it, right? But the reason I know that is from starting out not knowing, running a bunch of money, be like, whoa, where'd all that money go?
Yeah.
How do you get it, right? And then realizing, I need to measure this stuff. I need to understand. And the only two KPIs I track for my business model, cost per lead, cost per new customer. That's it. Because if those two things work, I don't care about cost per click or anything else. CPM, I don't care. Because if my cost per lead is good and my cost per new customer is good, I can pour as much money as I want into it and I'll get what I need out, which all I need is the same amount I put in. I break even on that. I've got a list of, 100,000 plus very, very active subscribers who are very responsive. And that's my business, right? That's where all my income comes from, is that list and my membership on the funnel stack.
Yeah. And I remember our first kind of big project with a bunch of insurance companies in the US, and they were like, at the time I was a little bit younger, certainly more naive, and we had someone else leading the marketing thing, and they were like, okay, this is going to be $19 per click. I was like, oh man, they're going to go nuts over that. They're going to hate that. And he was like, I don't care, because we're going to be generating like $2,000 comfortably, anyone who gets to this stage. And I was like, that's when I began to understand that actually the initial cost of acquisition cost of the click is almost irrelevant compared to the cost of acquisition. Because again, people always go, I want cheap traffic. I only want to pay like 2 cents a lead. I'm like, well, you can still pay 2 cents a lead and lose money.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, absolutely. I could sell you a very large list of emails who don't know you, don't like you, don't trust you, don't want to hear from you. And they'll be really cheap, but it'll get you nowhere.
Yeah.
It's all about finding the right people, the people who have the need or the problem that you solve.
Yeah.
Right? Everything's problem solution. If you get down deep enough, even entertainment is problem solution, right? So like when you get down deep enough, who is the person and where are they mentally? Where's their headspace? How do I meet them there on whether it's Pinterest or Instagram or Facebook? How do I meet them in that conversation they're having in their head and lead them to where they want to go? Because they want to go there. I have the thing that they want. I just need to meet them where they're at and help them get there.
Yep, absolutely.
Dialed in. It sounds really easy. I just oversimplified it. But once you get it dialed in, that's why it works so consistently, is because you're actually helping people who actually have a problem they want to solve. You help them solve their problem. So let's just go find more people like that and get our message that already proves to work in front of them.
Yep.
It's easy, but there's so many little complex dials and switches in there that it actually works.
Yeah, and kind of on that note, unfortunately, we don't have the time, perhaps even in a 24-hour period, to go into all of that. So the only other thing that I just wanted to briefly touch on is you talk a lot about audience. And one of the big things for us was we now spend more time carefully building out the audience, particularly in Facebook, where we'll actually have one interest per saved audience, as opposed to trying to bundle in 15, 20 interests of things we think they'll like.
Like one per ad set style?
One per ad set. We'll test those. Again, things that I think will convert don't. Things that I don't think will convert do. And we take that data, whereas a lot of guys, I think, spend loads of time on the ad, the creative, the copy. They have loads of variations, loads of different images. But for their audience, they're putting in 15 or 20 different interests.
Yeah.
Which is basically just throwing spaghetti at a wall. Like they've got no idea before they go and put those together. Just a quick thought on that.
Oh, absolutely. So, and essentially you're split testing audiences, right?
100%.
And when you find that right audience, everything seems to work. Like if you have the right offer for the right audience and you have just rubbish copy, I'll go as far as saying rubbish copy, it's going to convert
Yep.
because it's the right offer for the right people. If you have the best copy in the world for the wrong people, it will never, ever convert. So in the old school direct response marketing days, when we mailed the direct mail days, right? The list was the most important piece of the puzzle. Number one was, what list are you mailing this offer to? Number two is, what's the copy? Number three is, what's the offer? So the audience is actually everything. And Dan Kennedy has the triangle of success, which I believe is the media, the message, and the audience. Well, the media is Facebook, done. The message is your ad, done. So the only thing to test is the audience itself. One thing I've found is sometimes an audience will work really well, and then it'll die off, and then I'll retest it and it won't work, and then I'll retest it and it'll work again. So I'm always retesting these audiences. But what the biggest benefit you get is you will know beyond a shadow of a doubt that this audience generates leads at this much and sales at that much. And that says, statistically, spend more money on this audience. And you'll know that this audience does not generate leads and sales. Don't spend money on this. And if you group them all together, you're going to be wasting 50% of your money because Facebook's going to just show it all over the place. So it's a way for you to optimize your ad spend and your clients' ad spend ultimately to make sure that every dollar they spend is targeted on the most productive audience segment possible, which takes more testing, which takes patience from your clients, right? They have to be patient through the testing process. But once you find it, man, I got this group of, I think 15 or 20 audiences or so now.
Wow.
And they're just consistent. I don't run a lot of money to each of them each day. They very, very consistently hit KPIs. Then I'll bring in a new batch of 20. I'll test them. I'll get 3 or 4 good ones. And they'll get added to my good list. Great. And that just keeps running nonstop. And then I'll bring in 10 more, test those. I get 2 more. And I just keep growing this list of ad sets that are cash flow positive or at least break even. That's scaling to me. It's slow and steady. There's never been a day where it's like, all right, this worked well. Let's drop 10 grand on it today. Oh God, the first thing that would happen, you just lose 10 grand, right? It's incremental growth by expanding the audiences to new audiences that prove to convert slowly and steadily, and keep inching your budget up until you see your KPIs get close, and then just ride it out.
Yeah, and your point about even having bad copy, and again, we've tested this, we've seen it. I've had stuff that I've just rushed out and I've been like, I really need to get this campaign done, but because our audience is right, it's converted. Andrew Reynolds, UK entrepreneur, he said if he had to set up a hot dog cart, he wouldn't change anything about the hot dogs. He wouldn't change anything about the thing. He'd find a hungry audience.
100%.
You know, a hungry customer will still eat pretty bad food from a dodgy vendor.
That's why kebab shops are around, right?
Right? Yeah. And they, you know, and they know their audience, you know, so
100%.
yeah. All right.
You're open till 2 a.m. They walk on the front, they'll eat anything. Perfect. You're making a mint that night.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's sell something better than a kebab, right?
Exactly.
Let's raise that level too. But
we have the advantage of actually selling like decent products. Okay, so let's just have a quick recap. Number one, with your customers, set their expectations. This is a patient process and a long process, right?
Yep.
Okay, and number two is understanding what their main goal is. E-com is going to be very different from internet marketing to a service-based business.
Absolutely. Like really help your client probably won't know what those goals are. So you're going to have to dig in to figure out what is the most important step, first step, second step, final step.
And that's a kind of a good point to begin to raise perhaps some of those important metrics to them, like cost per customer, lifetime value per customer, you know, cost per lead and things like that.
And when you ask them these questions and they're like, I don't know, be like, it's okay. A lot of my clients don't know. I'm here to help you with that. Yeah. And you become the guy, when you know this thing that they don't know and you can help them get there, you're the obvious choice. You'll land more clients that way.
And charge for it. I just want to say, guys, watching it, charge for those audits.
It takes time.
Understanding that content is making you a partner to that platform, and it's a symbiotic relationship. You know, you've got to give and if we want to get, which I absolutely love. Segmenting and this process of when we start, and this is the first thing we do as well with their email list. We try to segment them, find out what they're interested in, and that kind of bleeds a little bit into understanding the message that resonates, the offer that resonates. It's not always about changing the product, right?
Right, totally. It's about getting the right product in front of the right person at the right time.
Yeah. And this final point, which I absolutely love, ads and advertising and traffic are like petrol. If you pour it onto something that's not on fire, it's not going to magically, spontaneously combust, right?
It's going to smell bad.
Yeah. You're just going to have petrol everywhere. So you have to have something, even if we've seen things that convert kind of like 1 out of 20 people. I'm like, okay, well, let's see if we can just drive some more people to that side and begin to build it up rather than being like, cool, we're going to spend 10 grand on some ads and see what happens, you know?
Yep. I have an offer that converts less than 1%, and it's break even. It grows my lists all day, every day, and it converts less than 1% of people to customers.
Yep, I like that a lot.
It's a very small fire, but it's enough.
No, but that's because this then comes to your kind of your final point. Your cost per lead and your cost per customer, those are the KPIs you measure, right?
That's for me. That's 100% my KPIs. If I was e-com, I'd probably measure the add to cart value and figure what that is.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's really good. Thank you for that. Yeah. Miles, this is just, I can't believe we're already out of time already. It's just been smashing through it. I loved every single second of this. How can people reach out to you? Where can they find you?
Yeah, so I'm the only Miles Beckler in the world. So just search. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, blog, milesbeckler.com. Everything is just Miles Beckler. So just search for me and say what's up in the comments somewhere.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'll probably put a bunch of videos in the show notes. Just really quickly, obviously, I want to kind of keep these masterminds going. Who do you reckon I should reach out to and try to interview next?
Yeah, there's a guy named Jeff Sauer. He runs jeffalytics.com. He runs a very big agency. He teaches agency owners how to scale their agencies. Cool. And he's a great data geek. I met him. We both were speaking at some similar engagements in Bali and in Europe together. Great guy, really smart. He can definitely help you scale a business.
Awesome. I'll reach out. So Jeff, I'm coming for you. Miles, thank you so much. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thank you very much. Sure. Thank you so much. I'm going to let you get off to, although you've already done your hike for the day, right?
One of them. I 2 a day, 7 miles a day is what I'm after.
Outstanding. Good stuff. All right then, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Cheers, mate.
All right. Speak to you later. Bye now.
Hey guys, James here again. That was an awesome interview with Mike and Miles Beckler. We're going to have more for you like that in the future with some other great names coming up. And until then, I will see you next week, possibly even with Mike back. Who knows? See you later.
If you liked this episode, please subscribe to the Sell Your Brand Show on iTunes or your favorite podcast app and leave a rating and a review. It makes us feel all warm and fuzzy inside when we hear we're not just talking rubbish. If you have a question you'd like us to answer on the show, drop us an email to podcast@sellyourbrandshow.com and we'll feature it in a future episode.